Hello there, this is Daniel Kilburn with the Act ASAP podcast on emergency action planning. Today is day 3 of the 12 days of Christmas. Now, we've already been discussing several aspects of leadership, and we're not going to stop. We're going to continue on. And today we're developing a transformational leader. Now, as a leader, we often find ourselves on different levels of leadership depending on the circumstance we're in, depending on the people we're with. I'm not going to get too deep into that because that's going to be another course all by itself. But I just want you to be aware that we're not always on a plateau. We sometimes go up, we sometimes go down. Now, as a parent, you are in a position of leadership with your children. As a business executive, you are in a position of leadership with your subordinates. And as a politician, you are in a position of leadership with your constituency. That's right, I get tongue-tied once in a while. Because of our positions, we are permitted to lead by those who need our leadership. However, this permission is fleeting. It is fleeting because that permission can be withdrawn at any time if we break the trust of those we lead. That's right. If we don't do what we say we're going to do, we act incongruent with whatever it is we said we're going to do, we break the trust of the people who accepted us and chose to follow us because they thought we were doing the right thing. So one thing to keep in mind, an outcome of a vision needs to be congruent with your values, because the values is where the trust is made and is broken at the same time. So Michael Strassner states that the third distinction of leadership is leaders live by values that are consistent with their vision. So what does that mean to have consistent values with the vision? Well, they can mean many different things. It depends on what your vision is that would probably draw or derive what the values that you need to exude to make that vision come true. So the easiest way for me to try to explain this is to let you know about the values that I have elicited in my vision for protecting our children from the emergencies and disasters that will come into their lives. And value number 1 is I will always tell you the truth. Now, I learned many years ago as an infantryman in the Army, there really was no room for lies, ambiguity, deceit, or embellishments. They did nothing positive, and they could possibly get people killed. So the truth was very paramount, whether we liked it or not. We needed to understand and face whatever the truth of the situation was at the moment. Now, in the context of this, as your coach, I will tell you what's going to work or what's not going to work. Now, you might not like that, but I'm going to be honest with you and tell you. I'm going to tell you the truth based on my background and my experience. So what this does is it gives you the ability to make adjustments, to make a correction on whatever your plan of action is or your course you're going on, and then just move on. There's nothing personal. Actually, I'll take that back. It's very personal. I love you, and I want you to succeed. So I'm going to tell you the truth to give you as many tools and much strength as possible so you can succeed. My value number 2 is to be honest with you. Now, I don't know everything, but I do know I can find answers. And that's one of my strengths. If I don't know an answer for it, if you ask me a question, I'll tell you I don't know the idea, but we're going to find an answer for that. And what I've discovered throughout the course of my education and my readings is a lot of things have been rehashed over and over. A lot of truths remain honestly the same regardless of who's writing it. So where I'm going with this is if I find information, I will tell you where that information came from. If I'm instructing a particular course that has a certain amount of information, I will tell you where I got that information so you can research it and find out if I'm telling you the truth. That's right, this is my being honest with you. I'm not going to embellish it and say, look what I discovered. No, that'd be a lie. That would degrade our trust. So I'm going to actually point you out to where you need to go to find this information, even if I did not come up with it myself. Value number three is I will be rigorous with my clients. So one thing to keep in mind is not all is as it appears to be. Protecting the health, welfare, and life of our loved ones and protecting our personal property requires a specific amount of diligent attention. So sometimes you'll get an answer, you'll get a question. I'm sure you've had it before. You ask someone a question, they give you an answer, you say, that's full of shit. What's better? What are you really talking about? Dig down. So this is where rigorousness comes in. Dig down, determine what's really going on, find the true answer, and then move on from there. Value number 4 is I will over-provide for you. Now what does that mean by over-providing? Well, let me give you a simple example. During the holiday season here, my mission is to prepare people for house fires. House fires being the number one preventable disaster that happens in everybody's lives, or in most people, in a lot of people's lives. In general, when you produce a lead magnet, and my lead magnet was the Ho Ho Holiday House Fire Safety ebook, many marketers will say, I'll just give up a 1 or 2 page PDF, just give some little answers, a little checklist, they'll be happy, they'll come back for more. No, I'm not going to do that to you. This particular PDF, this ebook, is 24 pages long. It's actually by itself a standalone course on how you can prevent a fire during the holiday season in your house. Have you got it yet? If you haven't, there's going to be a link down at the bottom of the blog here, or if you're listening to the podcast, there'll be a link somewhere in the information, or just go ahead and dial in www.eapready.com. Get that link for Holiday House Fire Safety. Even though Christmas is over, these are still important and relevant tools and information to have. And value number 5 is relationships and sustainability. So what do I mean by relationships and sustainability? Well, I'll bring it very simple. I want you to succeed. That's right. I want you to not have anything happen in your life because you've taken plans and steps to prevent them from happening. Now, it's one of those kind of things, We're so used to having that bell rung, getting that dopamine hit, and saying, ooh, I succeeded at something. Well, in disaster management planning, you rarely get that. Because disaster management planning is intended to prevent the disaster. So you're not going to get that bell. Oh, you missed a disaster. I did. Where'd it go? I didn't see it come by. Oh, that's okay. But that's good. Yeah, but there's not a lot of gratification there, except in the long term, knowing that you've protected yourself, your family, and your loved ones. Now, the upside to having a plan is when something's coming, you can see it and you can act on it, and then therefore, being that bell is ringing, and you get that instant gratification. So there are some ups to that whole disaster planning thing. That's being able to protect yourself, your family, and your loved ones when you need to. So, thinking about values. As a leader in your family, you must live the values that are consistent with your vision. Whatever your vision is, you need to identify the values. Write them down. Really. Write them down. Ask yourself, tell me more. What am I thinking about? Dig deep, until you can't dig any deeper, and determine the values that you have for whatever the project is you want, whatever the family is you want to raise, whatever business venture you're into. Identify the values you will need to be enacting in order to accomplish that goal. Now, your values will show a lot of things. They're going to show your children who you are and what you stand for, regardless of what you tell them. So it's kind of better to live a specific set of values that demonstrates who we are, and our children see that. And those values are consistent with our vision and what we want to do. So, will you connect with your children on a deeper level? And will they want to be like you? Your values are who you are. Your values demonstrate who you are being, and your values will go with you everywhere you go and will be displayed in whatever you do. So step up and be the leader your children deserve. Step into your children's lives, learn from them, and teach them. Step out into the world, take their hand, and walk out into the world and do beautiful things with your children. Until next time, this is Daniel Kilburn with Emergency Action Planning and the Act ASAP podcast. Be safe.